Hello, I'm Melissa Nadworny, and this is NPR's Book of the Day. Artist and activist Ai Weiwei spent years being censored because of his art. He's from China, where he was put under surveillance, experienced government harassment, and then house arrest, and later fled to Europe. Who better, then, to write a book about censorship, both under an authoritarian state and in more free democracies like America? He talked with Scott Tong, host of Here and Now.
This message comes from Schwab. Investing with Schwab is like spending a Saturday at the farmer's market. You can fill your reusable tote bag with a bit of everything. Maybe you go for some free-range self-directed investing, or pick up a few farm-fresh trades while you peruse. You can even get help from a dedicated advisor. That's full-service wealth management. No matter your goals or appetite for investing, Schwab has everything you need all in one place to invest your way. Visit schwab.com to learn more.
On this weekend when we celebrate freedom, we want to share a conversation on censorship. It is a topic that artist and activist Ai Weiwei knows well. His 2009 work called Remembering paid tribute to the thousands of children who died in the Sichuan, China earthquake the previous year, and it put him in direct conflict with the Chinese government. This past March, Ai Weiwei published an extended essay called On Censorship, and he sat down with me at NPR's bureau in New York for a conversation. Ai Weiwei, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
In your new book, you write about censorship and surveillance. Let's first talk about the impact on you in China and outside China, and then we can talk about what you're seeing in the U.S. and what you're seeing in the West. In 2008, I was based in Shanghai, and I remember the deadly earthquake, the Wenchuan earthquake in Sichuan province, where my dad was born. And you went there to document the schools that collapsed and the children who died in those schools. What happened to you?
Well, censorship in China is very sophisticated. Chairman Mao always thinks that is the most important tool to control the public opinion. So by 2008, China is always quickly transformed this kind of natural disaster or non-natural disaster into some kind of patriotic propaganda about the party, how party responded, how
heroic they were, right?
Yeah. So that time I was active on internet. I said, hey, let's find out what is the cause of those deaths, rather than just glamorize how party rescued those people. Of course, that kind of voice in China is never popular because the official narrative is very strong. Television, every newspaper. So I'm a singular voice questioning what is the cause of this kind of disaster.
And you were looking into the buildings, right? There was criticism that the buildings are very poorly made.
Yes, school building built by state should not collapse. Even the building next to it, apartment is not collapsing. The hospital is not collapsing. That means those school buildings are built under corruption. So that means if you have $5,000 for the next one gets the job, they give to another one, only have 3,000 left. Then the one give to the bottom, maybe only have 1,000 left.
Oh, right. So the people at the top are taking the money and then just using really cheap materials to...
It's not really properly built. We call it 豆腐渣工程. That means... if you shake it, it definitely will collapse.
Made of tofu.
Made of tofu.
Were you stopped when you were trying to film?
First, I promised online. I said I will do a research. People said, how? And when you stop, I said, till the last students being found. We organized called a citizens investigation. We go through all the villages and check name by name. And we found 5,219 students, their name, their birthday, their parents. And I post every day the name we found online till they shut off my blog.
They shut down the site.
Yeah, because my blog was getting very popular because everybody's watching to see how can this crazy individual find all those names one by one. And the states never reveal one name.
I want to ask how effective you think this censorship is, right? Your site was removed, information on the earthquake. I remember in 2009, I was in our bureau in Shanghai, and we had a very smart college student from China, from Shanghai, in our bureau. And, we were talking about the Tiananmen killings of 1989, June of 1989. And she popped up and she said, "What are you talking about? This is only 20 years after the incident." And she said, "I have no idea what you're talking about. It was erased." When you think about censorship, things when the government attempts, perhaps succeeds in erasing things from the public memory, what does it do for society?
Any information being covered is in favor of whoever governs. What they are afraid is, did they do the right job, or is their control legitimate? So they have to cover up all the information. That means almost any information being published has been tasted or covered or fixed into their favor.
Yeah. You write in your book about what you describe as a different kind of censorship in the West. In 2023, during the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, one of your exhibitions in Europe was canceled after you tweeted, quote, "The sense of guilt around the persecution of the Jewish people has been transferred to offset the Arab world," end quote. And you went on to comment about Israel's influence and the Jewish community's influence in American media and finance and culture. Tell me about the cancellation of your exhibit that followed.
That one caused a devastating response. I've been named as an anti-Semite.
Oh, anti-Semitic.
They call me a terrorist. I was really wondering what's really going on. Then, of course, that caused 5 of my shows being shut down. One in England, one in French, one in Germany, 2 in United States.
5 shows?
In 4 different nations, 5 shows.
Goodness. Who was calling you a terrorist? Where was that coming from?
It's just online. But culture institutions respond so quickly. Of course, when censorship happens, certainly there's no reason. They cannot really explain it. Only reason is people are scared.
Can I ask about these cultural institutions that are supporting the arts, right? They're supporting open inquiry, individual expression. The fact that they canceled your exhibits, what does that say about what they were afraid of? Were they afraid of their money, their funding? Was there pressure from social media? What were they afraid of?
Good question. I think basically the buyer who normally buy art and they're supporting art institutions. So for them, it hurt their business.
I see. They say, oh, that's controversial. Mm-hmm. Then the fear is their business model. That is,
of course,
perhaps people who come to the exhibit with money, they might not come. Does that surprise you that, you've lived in many European countries, you've lived in New York for many, many years, this kind of censorship in the West, does that surprise you?
I'm irritated, but not really surprised because I grew up in this. I have no fantasy about East or West or communist or so-called capitalist free economy type person. I think censorship exists in every power. And if they allow you to speak, that means your message and your information is almost irrelevant. Only when you say something which they care about, definitely they will not let you speak. If you really have original thinking, you're in danger. We can see what happened in universities, Harvard, in Columbia, in many, many universities.
During and after the student protests about the war in Gaza.
You really think, oh my God, this is only happening in third world nation, right? How could the U.S. government interfere? Oh yes, they do. They do in the past, they do now, and they will do in the future.
You also write about surveillance and the power of surveillance. Can you talk about that?
The policy for surveillance, there's a guideline. First, they avoid facing you eye to eye. So you cannot identify them. But my tactic is I directly take photos. I would record it. Then later I study, I found that guy on Great Wall, and I found that guy in the park.
There you are again. You are again.
Yeah. So you can easily identify. But this is old-fashioned. Today, we can follow our phone. They know exactly where you are.
Facial recognition.
And also they know who you talk to, what you buy, what your eating habit or your sleeping habit, and what are you checking on the phone.
How should Americans, we're sitting here in New York, think about the surveillance that we are under and the effect of it?
I think, especially with the current administration, they are ignoring the so-called human rights or civil liberty. So I think Americans no longer can say we'll protect individualism, we'll protect personal privacy. Forget about human rights. Who's going to talk about human rights? Human rights become a dirty word. So that's why I think Americans are totally giving up in protect humanity and human rights, which is very sad because that is a foundation for so-called democratic society.
Ai Weiwei, his new book is On Censorship. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And just a quick reminder that signing up for Book of the Day Plus is a great way to support NPR's book coverage and public media. And you'll get to listen to every episode sponsor-free. So please go find out more at plus.npr.org/Book of the Day.
This message comes from Workday. Guessing is for game shows, not your business, especially when your margin for error is zero. Workday is the enterprise AI platform for HR, finance, and IT with a deep understanding of your organization's context and guardrails. So every AI action is permission-aware, giving you accuracy 24/7 and the ability to not just get work done, but get it done right. It's a new Workday. This message comes from Rosetta Stone, offering an alternative approach to language learning. Without relying on traditional memorization, the platform guides users to intuitively think in a second language. More information at rosettastone.com.
Hi, it's Terry Gross, host of Fresh Air. Hey, take a break from the 24-hour news cycle with us and listen to long-form interviews with your favorite authors, actors, filmmakers, comedians, and musicians, the people making the art that nourishes us and speaks to our times. So listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.